I'm on Facebook recording. 3, 2, 1. Hey, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending where you're at in the U.S. or around the world. Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Pete Caliendo. Another great show. We think we have great shows, and we want your opinion. Send us your opinion. Caliendo19@gmail.com. Love to hear from you. I need to change something, if you need certain guests you want me to hear, certain topics that you haven't heard from certain experts, email me and I will respond right away. You can also DM me on Messenger, Twitter, Baseball Out. Don't forget, just do us one favor. You see this red here? Go to YouTube, Peter Caliendo. There's a big old red button right there that says subscribe. Do us a favor. That's all we ask of the show. If you're listening to this on audio at baseballoutsidethebox.com, you could also watch the video. But help us subscribe, because that gets the show out and really gets all the information out to everybody. So that's a great thing. Today, Donaldson got thrown out of a game. Interesting, not good for kids, but maybe we'll talk about that. And that's why I'm in favor of the electronic strike zone. And remember, players, be careful what you ask for, because the electronic strike zone might be coming. And, then you won't have anybody to argue with, because you ain't going to be able to argue with the electronic strike zone. That thing's just going to laugh at you. So guess what? We have a great guest today. And this guest, nobody like this guest anywhere in the U.S. or around the world. I guarantee you. And I'll tell you why. I was impressed with him. Zach is incredible. He listens to more shows. I bet he's listened to more shows, podcasts in 1 year that I've listened to in my lifetime. Not only that, he takes notes of every show he listens to. It doesn't matter whose podcast, all great baseball podcasts out there. He takes notes, puts them on social media for guys and gals, so that way you don't even have to take the notes. He takes the highlights. Impressive. Nobody's done that ever, and that's the reason he's getting recognized in baseball on social media, because he's sharing, and no doubt about it, a lifetime learner. Listen, he played at West Virginia State, assistant coach also at West Virginia, and he's assistant coach at Nitro High School. That's a pretty cool name, and I'd love to be that head coach or assistant, saying, we're Nitro High School, and guess what? You got to play us, because we are impactful. He was the outfield base running coach, analytics coach. I'm going to ask him about that, analytics. All these young guys, because I'm a lot older, they love analytics. I love it, and I love learning from them. And unique in West Virginia, I guess. West Virginia coaches, email me, Caliendo19@gmail. I heard not a lot of guys and gals use Blast and Diamond Kinetics out there. Well, you need to jump on it, because it can help players a lot. So let me welcome our good friend. He's on social media all the time. He always forwards everybody's information, Zach. And listen, it's Casto. It's not Castro, because I thought it was Castro. It's Casto, Casto. And we'll give you all his information. Zach, welcome to the show, man. Thanks for being on.
Pete, thank you for having me on. It's truly an honor to be on your show.
Hey, I hope I didn't get you in trouble with the West Virginia and all the coaches not as many using Blast Motion or Diamond Kinetics. I know you guys use it a lot, but again, it's fairly new in the industry, and, it takes time to get used to it. You love it. So, you know what, let's not even waste any time. Tell me why, and then I'll get to your background. Tell me why you love using the technology and also the analytical aspect of it.
Well, I think it's easy for me because I have a teacher brain, and there's a lot of ways to kind of grade things out of it. I know there was an interview with Jeremy Sheetinger. He had I don't remember who the guest was. It was on Stick and Ball, and they were talking about how each month they give their players a grade report based off of the data and analytics that they have. And I thought, man, that's brilliant. So that might be a next step for us at Nitro High School for doing that. But what we do typically with Blast is we will test them weekly, and then I'll go in and watch all the video and put in the data of what they scored, and then I'll ship it out to them. We'll throw it to each individual player, and then we're going to group them up based off of their deficiency. So they'll get about 10 to 15 minutes before team batting practice. And within that group, they're going to practice their deficiency, do drills based off of Blast that works on those deficiencies. And we're going to retest them the next week to see if they've improved or not. And within that, I'm also keeping an Excel sheet to see where they are going based off of, are they progressing or regressing? So it's a lot like teaching. There's an app called Schoology that I use when I'm teaching, and it's kind of a lot like that. I just keep track of their progress.
And if you've got a student like me who listening skills aren't always the best, this really keeps you on track as a student, whether it's a student in class or whether it's a student for baseball. Keeps you on track. It, like you said, it measures things, and I think young people love that. I think it keeps them more interested, more into it.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like the new kind of newfound idea of giving a purpose behind every drill, telling them why you're doing what you're doing. It just kind of, I know with our players, they loved blast day. I mean, they brought the intensity with it. They were more focused. They took better swings for the most part because they were being tested. It was a lot like being in school. But they really liked it. They thought it was so neat. This little sensor on the end of the bat tells you this much. And the video was awesome because then it tells us through our eyes, what's their rhythm, what's their timing like, what's their decision making like. So it's kind of a mesh of old school, new school with it. And I think brilliance is within that, because there's good things in new school, but there's certainly tried and true things that are good in the old school.
Absolutely. And one of the things I want to address is, a lot of technology, with young kids under 12, let's say 14 and under before high school. I know guys get upset. So, well, you don't need it. You could tell where the ball goes, and all that. Understandable. We didn't use it for many years and kids were doing fine. And so were other people. But again, we're in a technology era. The world is all about technology. Kids love technology. So it's fun. So it can be used for also to keep kids interested, have some fun while they're doing it, but it could also be overused, correct?
Yeah, I agree with it. I think there's a nice mix in there, and especially with high school baseball. I know at the NCAA and NAIA levels, you can use an app through 643 charts, and it'll chart where every opponent hits the ball. Whereas high school, the data is not as reliable. But, getting back to the importance of technology, it makes everything easier, right? It saves us time. I remember this quote always sticks with me, and it's what you said on a podcast a while back. It's like it's another assistant coach, and that's what it is, and it's a lot smarter than me too.
All of us.
Yeah.
And the other thing I was thinking about, because obviously I'm not as old school. That's why the show's called Baseball Outside the Box. But I do come from a different time when I started coaching a long time ago. And, the struggles I had as a coach was trying to, I wanted to help, but I also didn't want to throw too much at them. But I also had to make sure that whatever I was helping a player with or asking them questions about, that I knew what I was talking about, because sometimes the eyes can be fooled by what you're seeing. And if you give the wrong information, that's going to hurt the player. Technology verifies that information for us.
Yeah, I think it helps me kind of find what, let's read their body language. What's that? Are they frustrated? Are they, what's going on here? And if I have a hunch, typically the technology will tell me in a way that, okay, I need to talk to him right now. Because, as a young coach, we're always kind of really, going in guns blazes. We want to help them no matter what. And if there's one mistake, we just want to go in and fix it. Well, that's not necessarily the best thing. Sometimes you just have to have them fail a little bit so that when you go to them, they're ready to learn. Because sometimes that's not always the case. Sometimes, like, okay, yeah, I'll do it, but I don't understand why. Well, sometimes they have to be vulnerable in a way in order to reach them.
Love it. Hey, let's take this podcast in reverse. We do things all kinds of ways on a podcast, but let's take it in reverse, because I want to go back to, when you play ball in high school, and I want to go back to how you got into coaching and why you got into coaching. Take us back in history a little bit.
So I play at Nitro High School. We were at the time one of the top teams in the state. We had gone to the state tournament by the time I was there 6 years in a row, and that went on. Won 2 state titles, played in several state finalist games. By the time our head coach, Steve Pritchard, who's currently a principal in Mason County and here in West Virginia, he he took, I think he took it was 10 years in a row, maybe more, maybe doing him a disservice. I'm not sure. I hope Steve doesn't beat me up for that. But yeah, we were almost in a way kind of like the Yankees. And in fact, we adopted that look. We have pinstripes, and we actually had our road unis were gray. They're a Yankee blue gray. So we kind of adopted that look with that too. But we had a really nice tradition there, and we still have a nice tradition at Nitro High School. We still keep that look. Our standards are still very, very high. So I played Nitro High School for 4 years. Then I went on to West Virginia State University, another storied program. And West Virginia State is always near and dear to my heart because of Cal Bailey. Cal Bailey was head coach there for close to 40 years, won 19 conference titles, took 2 teams to the NCAA Division II World Series. And it was within, I think, the 2005 World Series team that helped me fall in love with baseball. And during that time, I was in 3rd grade, and I first found out about baseball by a book report, and it was on Roberto Clemente.
Oh yeah,
and
21.
And after I did that book report, I kind of told Mom and Dad I want to go to a baseball camp, and it was Cal Bailey's baseball camp. I mean, it was huge. We had campers all over the place. But as I got to know Cal better, I realized that he had played with Roberto Clemente. He was in the Pirates organization with him. And Cal unfortunately passed away here within this past year. But as Roberto Clemente Day was coming up on baseball, I just decided to look back at some of my texts with Cal. And I remember him telling me stories about Roberto Clemente and how he and I believe it was Richie Zisk were roomed right next door to Clemente and a few others, and they'd go out and bowl and do other activities, play cards, and it was actually I'm also friends with Bob Starkey, who at the time coached. When Cal was early on at State, Bob was coaching men's basketball there at State, and he and Bob became good friends. Coach Starkey is now at Texas A&M helping assist their women's basketball program, but they were kind of talking about Clemente too, because Bob likes baseball and Clemente. And it just dawned on me when I was talking to Bob on Clemente Day that it's funny how 2 people who were lifelong friends, Clemente and Cal, how they both influenced me, and I had no clue. It was that book report, and then that summer I wanted to go to Cal's baseball camp at West Virginia State and fell in love with baseball because 2 people who I had no clue were lifelong friends. So it just, man, it was powerful to me, really.
Absolutely. And I just thought about this. I went to Mickey-owned baseball school, so we do have something in common. Not only baseball coaches, but we both went to a baseball school when we were young, and that influenced our career. But why be a coach? Why not, find something else, be in a stock market, make millions? Why coaching?
I think it was my dad, my mom and my dad. I was lucky to have my mom and dad. My mom actually passed away in March, and she was really my biggest fan, biggest supporter. And so is my dad. Probably if she's number 1, dad's number 2, and it's pretty close. But my dad, he was a long-time football coach, high school football coach. He actually started his career at West Virginia State as well as an assistant football coach. He played football there. And he's probably listening to this. I'm going to tell him this story. He was half a second too slow for the Cowboys, and they told him to go to the Canadian Football League. And he actually told them no because he's going to marry my mom and wanted to start a family and start that way. Yeah. So I always, they had it great. They really did. I couldn't have asked for 2 better parents, 2 better supportive parents. But my dad was a football coach at South Charleston High School. He won their second state championship in football. They actually won their first one in the 30s. So it was a long drought for state titles there, and he won it. He actually beat DuPont, who had Randy Moss and Jason Williams on it, had those 2 future professional players on it, and his team beat them, and they won the state title. A year later, I was born, and Dad decided he wanted to be a dad full time, and so that's what he's done. And of course, since my dad was athletic director at West Virginia State, I was around coaches all the time. I was fortunate enough to be around Cal Bailey all the time. As a young kid, it was Cal's teams that made me fall in love with baseball. That 2005 World Series team, I still revere them as baseball gods, really, because they went to the World Series and they're just unbelievable. I was lucky enough to be around, at the time was the West Virginia Intercollegiate Athletic Conference coaches, so I got to pick their brains a little bit. Now it's the Mountain East Conference. Many WIVIAC teams became MEC conference teams. So I was fortunate enough my whole life to be around coaches, and at a young age I realized, man, these guys really make an impact in young people's lives, and I want to do that. And I saw where my dad was a teacher as well and loved teaching. I saw his passion in coaching and teaching. And it made me realize that's what I want to do the rest of my life because of the impact they make. And every day I go in and I want to make a difference in somebody's life. And when I do that, that just energizes me up. When I go to bed, I can't wait for tomorrow because of that possibility of helping someone for the rest of their life. When I wake up, I'm ready to get out the door and ready to teach. So.
Well, that's awesome. It takes special people to do that, and we need people like you, obviously, not only in baseball, but in teaching. I know teaching is not an easy career nowadays, especially, but like you said, there's a lot that you can do to influence young people, and we certainly need great influence in our young people nowadays. I was thinking also about this as you were talking, for our coaches in the U.S. and around the world, there's, obviously challenges in coaching. What are some of the challenges that you come up against and the advice to overcome some of these challenges to the coaches out there? Because, you got coaches might be working with younger kids for the first time, others, a little bit more experience, but others in different countries, and we're all going to have challenges, but what are the biggest challenges for you and how to overcome those?
The biggest challenge I've encountered in my career is possibly other coaches who don't see the point in growth. I've encountered that, and that was the hardest thing with me. It was a frustrating point in my career when that happened, and I decided that I want to take my dad's advice. His advice was, he said when he was a coach, that he wanted to learn from the best in the world. He said, if I can take what the best in the world are doing and make it my own, then we're going to have a lot of success. And he did have a lot of success. And so even though there were a few others saying, what's the point? Why you listen to that? I kind of have it figured out. Well, Cal also said that the day you think you figured it all out, you might as well just quit. And so I had Dad and Cal in my head with that. And so I just jumped on the podcast. And I think before the call, I told you that it was my first year in coaching. I was listening to the Brent Strom episode, and it was your show. It was the ABCA podcast, and also it was a couple other podcasts.
Kyle
too,
Nelson's.
Your podcast. Yeah, Kyle Nelson's podcast. Yeah, those three there, I've listened since they were created. And I've loved it ever since, and it's been a great outlet. It's something I look forward to every day, is listening to that and learning from everyone.
Well, that's a great segue. We're going to fast forward to that because, folks, I told you, Zach, amazingly, I don't know how he does it because, one, I don't like reading, which is a bad habit, no doubt, but I do like listening to things, or better yet, I like watching shows. That's more exciting. So, again, I'm one of these, guys and young kids. When I was a kid, it was a little bit of a challenge because you had to entertain me to get me to listen, which should be the opposite. I should just pay attention. My mom always told me that. But you're taking notes all the time. And I don't know how these shows are hour shows. Some of them mine are a little longer, and then others also are hour shows. And you're taking notes, you're listening to all these, and then you're posting them on social media. So here's my question to you. First of all, how did you get that idea? Obviously you're a lifelong learner, so you're taking notes, but how'd you get the idea about putting them on Facebook? How'd that come up?
I just think it was Nolan Dietrich. He first started doing that, and I was like, man, this is really nice, So I want to start doing that because he's doing that to help our baseball and softball community. And so I decided to do that, and I think that's how we became friends, ironically enough.
Absolutely.
That's how we did it. And I was like, I'm going to start doing this because if it helps me, then I don't want to be selfish, because really in baseball, there are no secrets. I mean, baseball is a pretty transparent sport in that
Mm-hmm.
regard. So I was like, I just want to help our game get better and grow, and hopefully, to those coaches who in the past kind of told me they don't really want to learn. Hopefully, I can reach to them that way and kind of maybe pique their interest in something with a show where they can just listen to it and maybe they can restart their love of learning again.
Absolutely. All right. So let me hit you with this. There's so many shows, and you don't even have to mention the shows if you don't want to, because I know sometimes it's not fair because there's so many great shows out there. But the ideas of some of the things, it'd be interesting because you've done all your homework. Some ideas this year that you really hit you hard, that you said, man, I got to change what I'm doing because I learned this. What are some of the things possibly out there? Because that'll help other coaches kind of speed up that process like it does with your notes.
There's three areas that I narrowed it down. One was culture, and I was fortunate enough to listen to those Darren Finster and got to know Darren better and learn from him. And also have Tim Corbin, and I think of Robbie Britt too. He's a head coach at University of Charleston here nearby where I live. And those three individuals really helped me kind of understand, okay, what is culture? Because it kind of gets the bad name of being a buzzword. And that's
Absolutely.
not what it is. It's literally a living embodiment of what everything you do. And it's how you do everything, really. And that really, through Zooms and stuff like that, those three individuals really helped me kind of identify, okay, what is culture and how do you do it? And that really helped me. The second thing was catching.
Wait. I'm not going to let you get away that quick. Give us the cliff notes a little bit, right? A couple of things. What is culture?
Mm-hmm.
And then here, I'll give you an example. I certainly have, I'm not an expert in this, but, when I'm thinking culture, I always thought that culture was what you create as a coach within the team. So that's from, like you said, everything, the rules, how you play the game, how you treat your teammates. There's so much involved in that culture aspect. But I found that you can speed up the process a little bit of culture. And this is no secret. I want to get your opinion on it. And I'm just throwing it out there. And that is when you have quality character people in your organization. Now, I understand in high school, sometimes you can't always pick your people. But at higher organizations, like in pro ball, when I put teams together in the pennant ball, I could pick certain people. So if I had quality character people, that culture kind of created itself. Am I far from that?
I think you're spot on. Ironically enough, my first year coaching, that's what Sean Lloyd taught me. He said our goal at West Virginia State University is to bring in high character people who get it done in the classroom.
Hang on a second. One second. I'm going to cut you off because we got a little bit of a delay here.
I think you're spot on with it because when you bring in character people,
Zach, can you hear me?
Do very well.
Zach, hang on one second. We got a little bit of delay. We got an audio problem on your.
I can.
Hello? Yeah, we got a little audio here. You went out. It might be the internet.
Hello?
Yeah, you may want to try to go out and come back in.
Might be it.
Folks, we got a little break here. If you're live on Facebook, my apologies. Sometimes shows go pretty good. And once in a while, depending on the internet, it'll break. We're going to see if we can get Zach back on here. He'll be back in a minute. I'm still live on Facebook and the host, Pete Caliendo, Baseball Outside the Box. If you're on Facebook, really appreciate it. And remember, the audio is going to go on baseballoutsidethebox.com. And Zach will be back in a minute. So let's treat this like a commercial, no? Here's my commercial. I love everybody when they talk about, hey, you got to wear a mask when you're around people. Make sure, because be respectful of other people. Also, wash your hands, right? Everybody's been telling us that. Don't touch your face. Love it. So follow those rules. But more importantly to me is how healthy you are. Health is important. I'm seeing more people riding bikes, walk, jog, doing more things outdoors. And I know the winter's coming in certain areas, but you know what? Guess what? If your immune system's really good, it'll battle viruses a lot easier. And I'm not a doctor, yes, because I'm sure I'm going to get emails. Oh, you're not a doctor, but I have done my homework. You know, I know drinking water, getting great sleep, 9 hours a day, exercising, biking, whatever it may be, lifting weights, vitamins. Are you taking vitamins? Vitamin C, D, zinc. Do your homework. I did mine. D, very, very important, according to many experts in that field, that vitamin D helps the immune system from this virus. Doesn't mean it's going to cure it, but it helps you with the virus getting into your system quicker. D will help you. Remember, 96% of Americans are D deficient. D, you get it from the sun also, but you can take vitamins. So, you know, I love hearing about the rules we're supposed to follow, but I want to hear more about the health we're supposed to worry about, because that health is going to carry us throughout the year. You can't wear a mask for 20 years and stay healthy, but you can take care of yourself by following good habits. And if you got kids, get them on those same great habits, because that's going to help your health. So here we are. I think we got Zach back. Zach, you there? You there, Zach?
Yep. Here.
You there?
Here I am.
Yeah, we still got a delay.
Let me turn on my phone here.
It could be. Yeah, it's really bad.
We do that.
I'm gonna stop this because we're gonna have to restart it.